Well, here it is, everybody. Thursday night. It is November 12th, 2020. Special shout out to my son, Jon Ferrian. John, we call him around the house here. He is 19 years old today. So drop it in the comments, everybody. Wish my son John a happy, happy birthday. And apologies from Dad. I'm missing out on some. Yep, Caleb. John, we call him around the house here. Caleb, go ahead and kill the phone there, buddy. All right, guys. So we got the guest on there in the background. You all know he's there, ready to go. But we're going to get rolling. So, here's John now, actually. Come on, everybody. Wish John a happy birthday. He's turning 19 years old today, my oldest son. Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah, thanks.
I missed out on the pumpkin pie for birthday dinner, but it's all good. All right, guys, drop it in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. I've got Jason Blair here from Alpine, Wyoming tonight. Thank you, Jason, for chiming in and giving my son the birthday message. We're here living large tonight. All right, guys, let's get this show shared out. You know the routine. Let's make it happen. Sharing it out is going to get you in to win on the Woody's Racing Share and Win contest tonight. We've got all you have to do is watch the show tonight, share the show tonight. Make sure you're following Woody's Racing on Facebook and on Instagram. And get on in there and help share the show and get the word out. So Woody's Racing, if you didn't know, is an Arctic Cat snowcross racing team in the Minnesota area. They're getting ready for snowcross season. We all have our fingers crossed that it's going to go off without a hitch this year because of COVID. Life is good. Hopefully it'll make it all good there too. So I've got Jason Blair coming in, Brian Thiebelt coming in, JR's here. Billy is in the house. We've got Carolyn Ferrian. Mom and Dad are watching from Minnesota. I always love it. Thanks, guys, for being here. Mike Morrison is here from Mr. British Columbia. All right, guys, drop it in the comments, and let's get this rock and roll show started. So come on, guys. We're going to be dropping in 3, 2, and 1. We're going to show you my friend Caleb. How's it going, buddy?
Good. Really good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm going to apologize for not warning you about turning your phone on. It's one of those things that we all have that natural instinct of wanting to do, is to be able to engage with the show and see the comments and all that. And for anybody who's ever been on the show, they know that. But some of the guests that, people who watch it maybe don't know is that, when our guests are on the show, they're just in a Skype call with me, and it's just a one-on-one call. And it kind of works to our advantage because it kind of removes all the distractions and people can just focus on the conversation. Yeah. But the cool part is the comments are there and I can see them. If there's questions that pop up, I'll be able to call those out, and I'll be able to do shout outs to folks who are doing some great things in the comments. And then of course, Caleb, you can go in after the show and, comment and like there too. But if something pops up that's relevant to our conversation, we'll dive in. So I am excited to have you on. And so I'll give everybody a little idea of how you and I bumped into each other. And it kind of started with this amazing climb ultimate backcountry sled sweepstakes that's going on. Seat Concepts was one of these names that, from my point of view, popped up on the list of all of the amazing aftermarket add-ons that were getting added to our amazing backcountry sled that we're giving away. And frankly, that was the first time I'd ever heard of you guys. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Wonder who they are. And then the cool part is I got to meet you at the snow show in Utah. And I'm like buzzing around like a madman. I guarantee you probably still do think I'm a madman because I'm always running 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I'm running by, I'm like, oh, there's Seat Concepts. I better stop for a minute. So my apologies for that interaction at the snow show. It was kind of like me on speed for the moment there because I was so adrenaline pumped with everything going on.
Yeah. I think everybody was pretty hyped that the snow show was happening and season's upon us.
Awesome. So Caleb, let's go ahead and get some folks, let them know a little bit about you, your background, what you do at Seat Concepts, kind of your passion, your hobbies, because, for a unique moment there, it's a little different than our traditional guests. So you're not a hardcore snowmobiler per se, but it's all about hardcore, sports, and you're going to tell us all about that as you get ready to introduce yourself. So let's go for that.
Yeah. So Caleb with Seat Concepts, I'm the sales and marketing manager over there. I've been there roughly about 2 years now. Been in the power sports industry for roughly over 8 years. So definitely not new to it by any means. Like you were saying, my background for snowmobiling is not as built up as everybody else is, but my grandfather was definitely into snowmobiles, and my dad was kind of a little bit of a follower, but for the most part, I grew up riding two wheels, And when it come to snowboarding, when that came to be released, that was basically my diehard hobby for the winter. So snowmobiles kind of took the the back seat, if you will, and
Yeah.
really enjoyed doing that for the most part. But as soon as snow bikes came around, then that basically was the diehard passion for the winter sport. So
No,
snowmobiling has definitely been second best for me, if you will.
no, it's awesome. But what I love about you, and just in conversation, I can quickly relate to the idea of like being a hardcore, passionate enthusiast about something, right? For me and for a lot of people who
Yeah,
watch, it's all about snowmobiling for us. And for you, I can just, your eyes and your voice and everything lights up like a Christmas tree, just like mine does. But your hobby
yeah,
slash sport is all about snowmobiling. I'm sorry, about motorcycling. My bad. And see, I can't even get it out of my own head, right? So, but that
right.
that
I know.
passion you have for motorcycling is as equal, if not bigger, than mine for snowmobiling. And the cool part is that passion is what drives all of us to make better products and to bring the sport together in a
Yeah,
better way. But the tie-in to motorcycling got you into the snow bike world, which then kind of pulled you into the
yeah,
snowmobile world. So why don't you kind of go a little deeper
yeah.
into that story about kind of some of your personal experience in the kind of motorcycling you do? Like, are you a motocross racer, an adventure biker, road biker, all of the above? Like, give us some deep background into your passion.
From a very young age, I was definitely into more of your backcountry riding, the single track,
Oh, okay.
more exploring out into the woods. But definitely, as I gotten older, more and more, motocross became a thing for me, and so competitive racing definitely played, a pretty big role when I was growing up. But then, as you get older, then come the medical bills that you're then responsible for personally. So those that whole experience kind of slowly, surely weaned off because I don't like being hurt. I don't think anybody does,
Yeah,
but
nobody
that's
does.
just kind of part of the gig when you're doing anything action sports related. But definitely, the medical bills were not something that's very enjoyable. So uh, the more competitive background of racing for me took a back seat
Yeah.
and do more of it leisurely now. For work, we do a lot of dual sport adventure riding because, as some may know, C Concepts is definitely built off of dual sport and adventure riding. So
Very cool.
that's more so kind of what the two-wheeled sport that I do now.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And so, that got you hooked into snow biking. So when were you introduced to snow bikes then, and how did that evolution happen?
So when I started working with a company called Pro Mobility or Fastway, some people may know of that company. They make hard parts for two-wheeled bikes. And back in 2012, kind of when companies like Two Moto or Timber Sled were kind of just kicking off before all these other brands were coming around. I had the fortunate enough experience or connection through the company because of the fact that some people may not know, but Timber Sled originated in Idaho,
Oh, really? Okay.
and so was able to, with the products that we were created, went hand in hand with snow biking, and that relationship kind of just built from there. And obviously, I love anything that's two-wheeled related or motorcycle related, and
Yeah.
snow bikes are right there.
Yeah.
So the passion was just a very easy transition, if you will, to kind of get on and run with it.
Yeah, no worries. So we have a guest speaker in the background there too. Everybody, is your dog there? You want to bring him on camera and have him tell everybody hi, or
They're
is he in the other room?
they're down. No, they're downstairs, so I'm kind of up in a nook area up in
Yeah,
the house, so
no
I
worries.
can't
No,
show them
no
unfortunately. But
worries, but I make it a habit of when the kids or dogs show up on the camera, like we just embrace it. Like that's the awesome thing about live video is like
can't
whatever
can't get
happens
away from it.
happens. We can't have like life
Yeah,
happens, and that's what it's all about. But honestly, that's what I love about this
yeah,
show is it's just real people having a real conversation about real things,
yeah.
and
Just here to hang out.
we're having a good time. So no worries. So the next thing I want to talk a little bit about, just for those who may not have heard about it yet, and, those who have, I apologize. You probably heard me talk about it to death, but it's such a cool project. Is this entire project called the Ultimate Backcountry Sled Giveaway? Right? It's a sweepstakes, kind of initiated by Klim as part of what's called the Avalanche Alliance. John Summers from Klim is the one who picked up the phone and gave me a call. Very likely the same guy that gave your company a call and said, "Hey, we're doing this Avalanche Alliance thing. We're building this amazing sled. we'd love to have your support and help. And for you guys, it was providing products. For me, it was providing the communication and the network that the sled community that follows the show and everything going on. And we all are then, what I love is that John Summers saw my vision for supporting AIARE. So I'm going to just throw it on here quick for a second is, I've got this amazing hat that they just sent me the other day, and I just had to, I got too many hats. I got like about 50 hats. I got to keep rotating them. But so AIARE is the American Institute for Avalanche Research and Education. And that is the organization that is basically helping educate the educators, right? And so when you think of folks like Brett Rasmussen, Matt Entz, Brian Lundstedt for Tyler's Backcountry Awareness, and then you have the Mountain Riding Lab crew, both Will and Matt down there in the Jackson Hole area. All of those folks are the ones that are going then to AIARE to get trained, and then they're also using the AIARE curriculum to be able to come out and train all of us, right? And, for those who followed the avalanche and the snowmobile industry really closely, there's a big disparity in the motorsports industry compared to the other backcountry sports like skiing, snowboarding, where people are, far at a higher percentage, they're trained to like a level 1 category, right? And so our goal is to get more educators out there, get more people trained. And so we put together this scholarship program called Live Large University, kind of a little Live Large action going on. And it's a motorized, dedicated avalanche education training program, basically a scholarship program that's at AIARE. And the cool part is AIARE is a nonprofit organization. So for myself and anybody else who wants to make a donation directly to AIARE in on behalf of this project, it's a tax deductible write-off. And also the cool part is this sweepstakes, the way we've got it designed is it's actually a sweepstakes under AIARE, but all of us partners and, companies like you are all supporting them. And once we raise all this money, so we just went over the threshold of raising so far about $80,000. And our goal, a minimum goal we need to hit in the next couple of weeks here that we want to hit is to get that number over $100,000. So we really could appreciate everybody sharing the show out. In the comment links, there's a link in there for the sweepstakes going on, and would appreciate everybody just helping share it out. And if you got friends who haven't bought tickets yet, it's an amazing opportunity to win amazing prizes. So this is the cool part is that sled that we've built, Seat Concept seat is one of many, many, items that are on it. All in, that sled cost plus all the accessories we've thrown on it, I think we've estimated it's somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000. So we're pretty sure it's pushing close to $30,000 worth of investment just in the grand prize. And then you add to that Marlon Sled Decks, right? So Marlon Sled Decks threw in a sled deck, a $5,000 value, right? Everybody can use one of those. It's the sled deck it's the sled deck that I use. It's the sled deck that Chris Brandt uses, Dave Nerona, like Tony Jenkins, like all these pro riders like have embraced the sled deck as one of the best in the industry. And that's the second or the first prize, grand prize, first prize. The next prize is Matt Entz has Mountain Riding Skillz. He's thrown in not one, but 2 level 1 Avalanche classes that he's got available to be able to then have giveaway too. So those 2 classes are going to go to one person, and like a husband, wife, 2 friends, whoever wants to go can win that. And then the final prize, one of my favorites as well, is the Fly Racing Snow $2,000 shopping spree. You go to flyracing.com if you win, order $2,000 worth of gear, from the Fly Racing Snow website, and they're in to win this too. And so we got all these amazing companies coming together, and you are one of many that are help partnering on this. And I just want to say thank you personally, Caleb, for Seat Concept stepping up and being part of this. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, it hits home well for me because, although I may not be, an avid snowmobiler, but with my, snowboarding background, avalanche awareness is definitely something that everybody should have, in their bag. It's, if you're going to be pushing the limits and being out there in areas, you just have to have that knowledge. You got to play it safe because nowadays with, our sleds and snow bikes and all of our equipment give us the capability of getting in these areas that, are really exposed. You'd be crazy not to have that knowledge base to keep everyone safe.
Yep. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So, we really appreciate companies like Seat Concepts and, Seat Concepts specifically tonight for stepping up and, being part of this amazing program. We're really grateful for your support. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So let's get to the good stuff now. We can dive in a little bit to, Seat Concepts as a brand, I guess the things I want to make sure, I'll just rattle them off quickly and then we'll go back through them one at a time. But,
Sure.
I want to know, just from my personal opinion, I think most of the people viewing I want to know too, is like, well, I've never heard of Seat Concepts, so let's figure out like kind of where they came from. And I think you've started that conversation, but we'll go deeper. Let's talk about, what goes into designing a Seat Concept seat. Maybe it originated in the motorcycle world, but I'm sure those same philosophies are going to blend over and bleed over into the snowmobile world. Why would I replace my perfectly good factory seat with a Seat Concept seat? What's the advantages? So those are the things I want to know. And then
Sure.
we can keep going into it as we need to. But let's start with kind of like how this whole thing of aftermarket seats kind of started. And I'm sure it started in the motorcycle world. So do you want to tackle that first? And then, we'll transition into snowmobile stuff.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. For anybody who's two-wheeled fan or has ridden motorcycles, definitely is aware that the stock or OEM seats are lacking severely in any sort of comfort for the most part.
Okay.
Unless you got a Goldwing or a Harley, then you might be a little better off. But for anything that's more of a competitive or off-road bike, even dual sport is lacking. So
Okay.
the company started a little over 10 years ago. The owners saw an opportunity for creating a vintage motorcycle seat foams.
Okay.
So because there was no other company that was kind of giving that offering for replacement. And as time went on, everybody kind of the people who had already bought in the seat foams for their vintage bikes, most of the time they had something of a newer age model and said, hey, I love your seat, why don't you try to make it something new.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, as time goes on, that kind of expanded to newer models, and obviously as the expansion went, so did the product development. So our claim to fame, or our bread and butter, is in creating a comfortable seat, and that's just kind of transitioned into competitive market as well. So not only do we do dual sport or adventure bikes, we all do the race bikes, off road, races like GNCC or NEPG for some of the bigger off-road race series for those who aren't familiar with the two-wheeled industry. But so we're slowly but surely kind of expanding our reach and our product offerings, because we have a lot of capability of doing it in-house, and it's something that we feel that we're pretty good at.
Yeah, I actually believe there's a lot of crossover. I'm probably more of an exception than the rule, but I'm kind of a one-trick pony. Like I'm a snowmobile guy and I'm a snowmobile guy, right? Like those are my hobbies. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of folks who are snowmobilers that in the summertime, especially around here in the Pacific Northwest, adventure biking is huge. People get on those adventure bikes. They do hundreds and if not thousands of miles worth of touring. And so I can definitely see folks who are watching this getting into something like that too.
Sure.
I know for sure there's people who are watching that absolutely have motorcycles in their stalls too, and so not only for snowmobiles, but they should check out your line for motorcycles as well, of course. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, it does go hand in hand with a lot of people. The power sport industry is definitely not divided by any means. So sledders are connected with guys that are riding two wheels.
Yeah. So when you say that the seats for specifically the motorcycles are designed kind of for comfort, right? It's kind of those long haul, adventure bike riders. Is it, what kind of technology are you putting into the seats to make them more comfortable? Is it just more foam? Is it denser foam, or is it a different material completely? Can you give away those trade secrets, or is it all hush hush under the seat?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have our own secret sauce. So from the beginning, obviously there was blends of different consistencies of foams that were just readily available to the owners. But as time went on, obviously we wanted to progress the product line, and surely it came to the point to where we were able to create our own chemical blends. So right now we have an A and B mixture, which mixed at specific ratios will give us the capability of doing alternate densities of the seat foams.
Awesome.
So definitely, our foam consistency is what separates us a lot from the other aftermarket companies out there.
Okay.
But just also our passion, on, we live and breathe the sport, and we definitely know what a lot of the two-wheel riders want in a bike and in a comfortable seat. So the foam consistency being one, but also the shape of the seat, the profile. When we make a comfortable seat, we typically will make it wider in the main seating area, and the extra width helps with distributing the weight over greater surface area. easing up on any pressure points.
Okay.
So, as you can imagine, a stock competitive off-road bike seat is 4 inches wide.
Yeah.
So it's like sitting on a 2x4 is the the way to say it. But so with a wider seat, it definitely eases up on that feeling for giving a lot of good comfort for longer rides.
Okay. And then what about the transition? Is there anything else on the motorcycle seats you want to cover? I mean, I know there's a tie-in there to snow bike seats as well. And as a
Sure.
backcountry snowmobiler, I know a big part of my day is standing, and so like I have a different need for a seat than just sitting on it. So we'll get to that in a minute. But actually, for a snow biker, most of the I don't snow bike personally, but I've ridden with snow bikers,
Uh-huh.
and most of the snow bikers are sitting. If I had to guess, probably 80% of their day. If I had to guess, so they are spending
Yeah.
some legit seat time. So I think the motorcycle seats you have directly worked with the snow bikes as well.
Yeah.
Is probably a dumb silly question because a motorcycle is designed to be out in the rain, but is it a pretty waterproof material and all those kind of things for snow use and stuff like that? Has it been pretty effective?
So it's good you mentioned that. Our comfort seats have been a good favorable option for riding snow bikes in the wintertime because, as you said, you sit down most of the time for many hours a day.
Yeah.
And the major downfall is, one, this OEM seat is not comfortable by any means, but we saw an opportunity to not only make a comfortable seat, but make something that's prevents water from penetrating into
Oh
the
yeah.
seat.
That's huge.
Because and what's interesting too is a lot of people won't think about it that the water does get in your seat, and
Yeah.
most people don't have the capabilities of bringing their bike into a heated garage,
Yeah.
or don't think to take your seat off to let it drain out of water.
Well,
So
by the
you
way, if
go.
it's wintertime, your seat just froze into a solid ice block, and now it's not comfortable at all.
That's exactly the case. Yeah. So you go ride it the next day or the next weekend, and it's still frozen. And
Yeah.
yeah, you're sitting on an ice block the entire
Yeah.
time.
Horrible experience.
So yeah, it's not fun. It just takes the enjoyment away from riding in general. So
Yeah.
we saw that opportunity of creating. What we have released about a year ago is what we call our Element seat.
Oh,
So
nice.
we've taken our comfort foam and profile and covered it in an all gripper cover. And we have seam sealing technology that we use to seal the inside of the covers to prevent water from penetrating into the foam or inside the seat.
Very cool.
So it's kind of like the Swiss Army knife of seats. It
Yeah.
does it all, but it definitely favors a lot of the snow bikers on keeping that same consistent, comfortable feel day in and day out.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's talk about then the snowmobile industry, right? And so, it's only
Yeah.
been what, a year or two, I'm guessing, maybe more, that you've gotten into the snowmobile world. Let's just start there. Like, how long have you been doing snowmobile seats?
So surprisingly enough, a lot of people don't know this, but you may be familiar with WRP, right?
Okay. Yep. Yep.
So we actually bought their product line about 4 years ago now,
Okay.
and we never took it away. We kind of just let them continue to run with it. And a little over a year ago, we decided we want to take with it and revamp it and make it grow.
Very cool.
So late fall last year, we kind of did an official launch on the snowmobile offerings that we decided to create and revamp for the year. And so we're basically transitioning all of our capability and technology into the snowmobile seats on offering something that's a quality product at a very fair price for anybody who's in the industry. So not only are we offering some comfortable seats, but variable heights and
Yeah.
then variable dimensions as well.
Yeah.
A big popular seat for us recently, like that's on this Polaris build that we're doing with Klim, is our micro seat. So it's basically a significantly compacted seat that's better for your all mountain aggressive style riders. Gives you a lot of
Yeah.
maneuverability, but also if you blow out a knee and you need to ride back to the truck and ride on the trail, it's not like you're sitting on the tank the whole time. So
Yeah.
there definitely still is some level of comfort there if you need to sit on it.
Yep. No, your timing is perfect in your comments because we literally, just as you were about to start explaining all that, somebody asked, like, do they come shorter for snowmobiles? And literally that question
Sure.
popped in, and you just rolled right into the answer. And then of course
Yeah.
we got our good friend Cameron Beck from the Tahoe area, or I like to joke around with him and call it Lake Taco. And so a couple shows ago, somebody did a typo and called it Lake Taco, and it's kind of stuck. So Cameron from
Okay. Okay.
Lake Taco, he says, "Yep, they're way smaller and super light." So I know Cameron's rocking one of these seats on his sled. Is that right? He's one of your team.
Yes.
Awesome,
Yep.
awesome.
Yep. Cameron wrote it all last year, so he's a great guy, and we'd love to be a part of his program.
Yeah, I don't know how he's a great guy. I mean, he's okay, but
Yeah. Yep. I mean, hey, you got to make him sound good, right?
exactly, exactly. I love Cameron. He's one of my buds, so I just got to give him a little crap. But no, I ran into him at the snow show too, and actually, that's what caught my eyes. Like I was literally walking by your booth, and I saw Cameron sitting there in the corner of your booth, and I stopped and talked to him, and I looked up.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, seat concepts, awesome, perfect timing. Let's stop and say hi."
Yeah. I need to be here.
Exactly, exactly. And then Cameron just dropped in a little emojis taco, so he's embracing the Lake Taco theme that we got going on here. So, but yeah, so
Great.
snowmobile seats, is there? I mean, you've done a good job of describing that you're, making them comfortable, smaller, they're waterproof. Is there a,
Mhm.
maybe a dumb question again too, but I'm asking because I'm assuming a lot of people want to know is there a weight savings between, say, a stock seat for Polaris, Arctic Cat, Skidoo? Who are you making seats for? Is it just Polaris and Skidoo, or just Polaris right now, or what do you?
Um, no, no. I mean, we're definitely the band speaks for itself. So the offering definitely has to be there for a consumer to justify us, going to bat and creating the product.
Yeah,
So we create seats for Polaris, Yamaha, Arctic Cat, and Ski-Doo. So basically the full gamut.
all four
Uh,
manufacturers. That's awesome. That's cool.
yep, yep. So not every sled model, of course. Unfortunately, we are in there to make a seat that's gonna sell, and it's
Yeah,
gonna be a highly demanded seat. So
yeah,
there are definitely some sleds that we don't cater to, unfortunately, but
yeah,
definitely the most popular sleds, like the Polaris Pro and the Ski-Doo Gen 4s,
yeah.
and more recently like the Arctic Cat 9000s.
Okay. Well, and the other thing I want to just call out too, it's like as you're talking about this, it's kind of clicking in my head, and like I get stuck in this world sometimes too. Is like in my head, all I think about is mountain riding, right? And I think of like, what do I
Yeah.
want in a seat? But the reality is, like, the majority of snowmobilers across North America are Midwest and East Coast trail riders. Like the sheer numbers of those riders is far out,
Right.
larger. Ours is the fastest growing category. The backcountry riders, but
Absolutely.
overall there too. And so let's talk about seats that, a little bit that we talked about for mountain riding. It's like they're smaller, they're shorter, they're lighter. But what about
Yes.
for the trail riders or the Midwest riders that are more of these long road adventure riders? Those are probably a
Hmm.
different product. And are they really clear on your website of, if I want to look for a trail friendly seat versus a mountain seat, is that super clear on your website as I go looking for them?
Yeah, so I mean, the sled's kind of given on what seat you're going to be looking for. Most guys aren't going to take like an MXZ and be riding it in, in all mountain riding. So the seat kind of speaks for itself on what style of riding it's going to be used for. But like you're saying, all mountain guys kind of want a non-existing seat.
Yeah.
Something that's minimalist, they can out of the way. But all these trail riders, they'll either want a taller, wider, or even a firmer seat, because a lot of the manufacturers or older sleds have really worn out seat that you're basically sinking in all the way to the gas tank.
Yeah.
So it's really model specific on what direction we go with the profile of the seat, and how
Yeah.
it's going to be made or designed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we definitely cater to everybody and what their needs would be for that style of riding.
Yeah, this is perfect. I've got people dropping questions in, and so I'm just going to call it out and say, encouraging anybody who's watching right now to go ahead and drop questions in, and we'll go through those here with Caleb live. But even if you're
Yeah,
watching the show later as a replay, feel free to drop questions in also, and we'll make sure Caleb comes back and can help answer those in the comments over the next few days if need be. But the next question we have, Caleb, is, can you order the seat to the height you want, or is there fixed heights that are available? Or if somebody legitimately wants to say, hey, I like that seat, but I want it an inch shorter or an inch taller or whatever it is, do you guys do custom
uh-huh.
orders like that, or no? Can you talk about that?
uh, yeah. Unfortunately, we don't. We produce everything in a specified mold, so we
Yeah.
don't hand shape or anything like that. We create the first one-off plug of the seat design or shape, and everything is mimicked exactly off of that out of the mold.
Okay.
So unfortunately, no customizations, but there are quite a few offerings that we have for the Polaris Pro. For an example, we've got quite a few different seats for that sled. And like the micro, obviously it's very small, but we've got our own rendition of an OEM replacement. So if you want to maintain, like, still using the rear frame support, if you're, married to the cargo bag, you definitely have an option of continuing with that. Our seat will have a slimmer profile than the factory seat, and then we have variables of a taller or lower option of that as well. So there definitely are some offerings for individuals who are looking for something with a little bit of height adjustability.
Okay, sounds good. The next question is from Skinner Bell. So Skinner Bell's a pro rider and guide out of, oh man, I'm probably going to screw this up. I'm pretty sure it's Wyoming. So Skinner, there's so many friends and so many awesome lodges across the country. Forgive me for a minute for having a brain fart. But Skinner here is got a question. He says, he's riding an Arctic Cat, just to be clear. So I have a 13-gallon gas tank. I think he says BDX. I'm pretty sure that's the brand name for his Arctic Cat Alpha 1. Do you guys make a seat that fits that? So what I don't know, Skinner, is whether your stock Arctic Cat seat fits on the BDX tank. And I would say if it does, then it would make sense that these seats would fit as well if they're the same mounting system, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And we do make a couple custom offerings for BDX.
Oh, you do? Oh, nice.
Yeah, so definitely reach out to them to inquire what would be the best seat to fit that specific tank. Would be the best route to go.
Yep. And Skinner confirmed, yes, Wyoming. And I knew that. I just had a second guess for a second, like, oh man, there's people in Colorado, Wyoming, all over the place. So
all over the place.
Awesome. So Skinner says, I nailed the question. We got it, and you answered it for us, so it should work in theory. So if anybody else has any questions, feel free to drop those in now as we kind of start kind of winding this down and wrapping it up. But Caleb, what have we not talked about yet? And me maybe just being ignorant about the products so far. What is it that I should know, or that we should let the guests know about your company, your products, or anything they should look out for? Ways to get a hold of you guys. Whatever you want to cover.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when it comes to the snowmobile seats, yes, we're new to the industry, but we take the same passion that we have for two-wheeled industry into sleds. We've got a lot of friends and industry connections that, we have the insight on what needs to be created. And when we release a product, it's not half-heartedly. We design it with everything in mind and do our best to create something that's going to be not only a high quality product, but it's going to be fairly affordable as well. I think a lot of people would say that we're definitely on that lower echelon of a price point for, looking for an aftermarket seat option. So, I mean, it's just keep an eye out for, new products we release. For those who may not know, right now we're working on a low profile seat for the non-E-Start Arctic Cat. So that's going to be the next seat to come out here very soon. And we're just gonna, continue with it and keep creating new seat options and seeing what people like.
Yeah. So what goes into designing a seat? Obviously, there's the functionality side of it, but my understanding, the way you guys, me and I talked before the show for a little while, and something that came up in that conversation was the design and how the seat looks and flows with the body lines of either the motorcycle or the snowmobile or whatever. But go a little bit deeper in that discussion for a minute, if you would. Then I've got some more questions coming in after that.
Sure, absolutely. Not only do we, a lot of people are like, well, for a new sled or new bike, for an example, we can definitely get the seats ahead of time to create a new seat from that. But, we're not in it just to create a seat and mimic the exact thing and maybe make it a little wider. We're in it to make the seat profile fit the sled or fit the bike. So whether the positioning, when you're riding it, or stock cargo bags that may be on there as well. We take all these things into consideration when we're creating a seat, whether it be for sleds or two-wheeled industry. We're not just doing something that's a run-of-the-mill thing. It's, duplicating the same thing that we did last year, or the same thing that we did on that previous bike. Everything is still meticulously designed for every frame or every bike that we're doing.
Very cool.
So we put a lot of time and effort into it. And more recently, we're, kind of making advancements into how we create seats. So we're into the whole 3D scanning and doing 3D printing. So that way,
Very cool.
We can make fine-tune adjustments, and we're getting exact measurements on the seat so that everything is the same. So it's more of a
gotta love
getting into the
technology.
rocket science, I guess you will, for as simple as a seat is.
Well, when people see the pricing on a premium product like this, like, there's got to be some understanding and justification of, like, what goes into it. It's not like you guys just grab a piece of foam and slap a piece of fabric over it, right? There's far more to it than that. So
no, absolutely.
what can you tell us about warranty on your products?
So we have a 1 year's manufacturer defect warranty. So if anything comes wrong with the seat, whether it's the materials failing or stitching is coming undone, or maybe some staples are coming off, anything like that is definitely going to be covered for the first year.
Yep, absolutely. I'm just scanning so 1 year warranty. What else we got here? All right, so there's just kind of a fun question here that I've got, and I'll answer it first, and then I'll turn it over to you, because I think you said growing up you had a sled as a kid. He says, "What's the first sled both of you have owned?" And so I'm going to answer with two answers, right? One is the first sled that I grew up riding. My dad technically owned it, but I grew up riding it. It was there was actually three of them. There was a 1970, a 1972, and a 1973. All of them were Arctic Cat Panthers, the old school leopard seat. Talk about seats, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing you should get into is the Arctic Cat leopard seats. That would be a big comeback if you could make a design there too. I bet Skinner Bell would buy that from you. A pink one. But just in all seriousness, Skinner decks his sled out every year in pink because he honors his mother who's passed from breast cancer, and he does a lot of fundraisers and stuff for breast cancer.
Very cool.
You do a pink leopard skin seat, Skinner's your guy.
Yeah, he's game on, huh?
And then the second sled that I actually bought for myself, that I technically owned for myself, was a 1995 Polaris Indy 500. So that was my my kind of first sleds. So how about you, Caleb? So
well, as sad as it say, I've never actually owned a sled. I've only ridden,
Fair enough.
My parents or siblings. But the first sled I remember riding was a Phaser.
Okay.
And then I think the next one after that was an MXZ.
There you go.
Yeah. So not too big there, but
awesome.
The Phaser's a fun sled.
Cool. So there's another question here. I'm going to try to see if I can interpret. So it says, I guess I'll just ask it a different way. Is most looking for an M8 Alpha. So I don't know if I understand the question, but I'll try. I'll see if I can take a stab at it. Is
Sure.
There's different body styles of cats over the years. There's the Arctic Cat Alpha 1s. There's the M8s, but I think those all fall in the same category. I think those seats are all interchangeable. But when you go back to what they call the M series Arctic Cats, which is the older generation from around I think 2005, 6 in that range, all the way to about 2011. There's a range there. Do you guys have any seats for the M series Arctic Cats?
Yes, we do have some other seat offerings for the older model Arctic Cats. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what year range that is, but definitely give us a call and we'll tell you, what we have for your specific sled.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, no more questions are popping in. So any final thoughts, Caleb, that you want to do to wrap this up?
No, not at all. I mean, I just challenge everybody to, check out our product and see what we're all about and follow us to see what's new. Appreciate giving us the time of day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Glad to have you on. I appreciate you being here. And, my final shout out for everybody is to make sure you go into the show comments and look for that link. There's a link in there for that sled sweepstakes. And if you've already bought all your tickets that you want, great. Please still share that out because, again, we want to get as many people in on this as possible. Last I looked this morning, we were just over almost $81,000 in funds raised. We definitely want to get that up over $100,000 before we get to the December 4th giveaway. And by the way, we're only about 2.5 weeks away, maybe 3 weeks at the most here. December 4th is the date that we're going to be giving away all of those amazing prizes. So buy your tickets again, buy more tickets, and then share them out with some friends and get them to buy some tickets as well. So question here from Grant, actually. The tickets you can get them in different increments. If you click on the link, it'll tell you. But you can go in at a minimum of $25 donation, and you get 3 entries for that $25 donation. And then it goes up in increments from there. You can literally spend $2,000 if you want to. Honestly, any dollar amount, there's like about a dozen different options there of different incremental tickets you can get. And the cool part is all that money is going to AIARE, which is a nonprofit organization. They're turning around and putting all that money back into the bucket for motorized avalanche education, providing scholarships for both professionals as well as recreationalists who are out there then reinvesting their time and energy and skills back into the snowmobile community to continue to help grow everything. So I appreciate everybody being on the show. Caleb, thanks for being here. Everybody who's watching the show tonight and shared it out. God bless all of you and live large. Have a fantastic night.